أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا أبي القاسم محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين لا سيما بقية الله عجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف وجعلنا من أعوانه وأنصاره. My respected elders, respected brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. As has been the format with these sessions, the idea is to keep them inshallah informal. They were advertised as interactive sessions, so interactive means there's interaction from the audience inshallah. So please, if there's any questions, any comments, any feedback during the talk, please feel free to interject, inshallah. So the topic that we have for today is a continuation on the theme, on the discussion that we've begun. That there's a hadith from the Holy Prophet who says that an intelligent person divides his day into 4 parts, right? So we spoke about the 4 parts. One of those parts was spending dedicated time to learning and engagement with knowledge. One of those applications of that division is sharing the knowledge that we have, right? So in Islam, teaching has been given a lot of emphasis, a lot of significance, a lot of importance. Similarly, learning has been given as much importance. So the topic for today has been titled Significance and Etiquette. These are 2 very different topics, very big topics that can be separated. But just to give us a bit of a taste of the significance of teaching in Islam. Obviously, this would have been ideally directed for the teachers who spend their precious hours on a weekend, 3-4 hours to come and teach the students in the madaris, just to give us understanding of the significance of this time that we spend. So there's one beautiful hadith from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad, that a man will come on the day of resurrection, and to his credits, in his accounts, in his name, there'll be so many hasanat, so many rewards that have been written, such that it would look like a heap of good deeds, like a towering mountain. And he will be told that all this has been reserved for you. So he will ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala very surprisingly, and even though this hadith says a man, it's not only in the hadith when it says man, it refers to both the males and females. So all this reward for me, Ya Allah, what have I done for this, right, to deserve this? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say that this is the knowledge that you taught to others. This is the knowledge that you shared with others. And even after you passed away, they kept acting on what you had taught. And for everyone who acted on what you taught, the reward has been reserved for you, right? So teaching is an incredible investment that we have for our akhirah. Not only will we see the benefits in this dunya, not only are the benefits there whilst we are alive, but the benefits continue manifold even after we have passed away. We can imagine if we teach someone how to do wudu, for example, and that person then teaches the generations after him how to do wudu, it is as if all these, in fact, the rewards come to the one who has taught this person. There's another nice hadith that says that teaching is the occupation of the prophets. This is what the holy prophets, all the prophets, 124,000 prophets, came to do. This was their main mission. So by us spending a few hours of our weekend or sometime during the week to teach, we are in essence following the footsteps of the greatest human beings who walked on earth. This was their occupation, this was their priority. Although we are doing it at a much smaller scale, but this is exactly the same path of the greatest human beings who walked on this earth. And the prophets had a certain goal in teaching. What was their goal? To get people closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to establish social justice in this world. How did they achieve this? Through teaching. So by we spending time here on Saturday afternoons, by sharing this knowledge, by spreading the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is as if we are mimicking the occupation of the prophets. during this time. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And there are so many ahadith when it comes to this, but inshallah we'll go to the main part of the talk, which is the etiquettes of teaching. Etiquettes meaning the adab of teaching. There has to be certain, for teaching to be effective, there has to be a certain way we need to present this material. There needs to be a certain way we have to present ourselves as teachers. First and foremost, respected brothers and sisters, when it comes to teaching, there is one spiritual etiquette that we must have. Can anyone maybe give it a try as to what this spiritual etiquette would be as a first priority? And it's with all acts of worship, actually, to give an answer, to give a hint. Ahsantum said, it has to be qurbatan ilallah. It has to be sincere. So the intention that we must have when we're coming out from the house, coming to the madaris on Saturdays, for example, is that I'm doing this solely for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I am not doing this because there is an expectation, for example, from the management that I need to be attending. That could be a secondary or tertiary motivation. The first motivation is that, Ya Allah, I was inspired a while back by one of my teachers. I was brought close to you through one of my teachers. And Ya Allah, I feel this responsibility to share what I have with these young innocent souls, to get them closer to you, Ya Allah. So that should be our primary motivation for teaching. There's a beautiful hadith from the Prophet who says, if you perform an action, then do it sincerely for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because He only accepts from His servants actions that have been performed sincerely. The last thing that we want on the Day of Judgment, that we spend 40, 50 years of our lives teaching, but when we go to the Day of Judgment expecting a reward, as the Quran says, it's haba'an manthura, it's treated as scattered dust. We don't see any of it. And we inquire about those good deeds, Allah will say, go and get your reward for the person you did it for. This is khasrat dunya wal akhirah. We lost our Saturdays in this world, and we lost our akhirah. Right? So sincerity is very important. Maybe to drive this point perhaps even closer to us, we can give this scenario. That imagine at the end of the term, end of the year, Imam Hassan Center organizes a prize-giving presentation day. And I was perhaps, in my mind, the most dedicated teacher. I was here on time, I had set up PowerPoints, I was most active in my class. I was so dedicated, no one can compare their dedication to the way how dedicated I was. It came to the point during the presentation where now Abbas uncle is mentioning the names of all teachers. Come to the stage, giving you a token of appreciation, giving you some reward, making mention of your name in front of everyone. The list finishes, my name was not mentioned. The management forgot my name. Question. How much would this disturb me? How much would I hold it as a grudge against someone who's forgotten to mention my name? I think this would be a very accurate test as to what the motivation of our actions would be. If I've done it for the sake of Allah, for the pleasure of God, as a sense that I've got this obligation to do what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants me to do, then forgetting my name, no acknowledgement, no praise, no reward should make absolutely no difference. So inshallah, this is what we want to aim for. So that's the first thing. The second thing, respected brothers and sisters, is when it comes to the lessons that we teach, we need to be super diligent and careful and pay utmost care in how we are delivering the lessons, right? So most often we get the content that's already prepared for us, right? This is the way it is, and it makes it so easy for us. The first thing, brothers and sisters, we need to do is, first and foremost, that you and I need to fully understand the content we're teaching. 1. 2, once we have understood the content we are teaching, we need to believe that what we are teaching is the truth. If my belief, my personal, internal, individual belief is opposite to what I'm teaching, then it will make no difference to the class, this lesson will be very ineffective. So, first things first, we need to understand the content. Second thing is we need to believe in what we are teaching to be the truth, right? So for example, if I'm teaching a lesson on whether music is haram or halal, and the content has given me that music is haram, but I have a personal opinion about music. And my personal opinion is that music, I think Islam has taken it too far. Music is permissible. That's my personal opinion. I wouldn't voice this out. Of course, I wouldn't voice it out. But because my internal beliefs are not in harmony with the content that I am teaching, this lesson will not be effective. This is very important, right? So what should we aim to do is to, when we see the content that we have, once we've understood it, one. Second, if it goes against our personal opinions, we need to work on correcting those personal opinions. Right? So this is very important. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala wa ali Muhammad. The other thing when it comes to care about how the lesson is being taught is that many a times we really get entangled in teaching very lofty, complicated, high-level concepts to kids, to students. Right? So one way to present the content effectively is to put ourselves in the mind of the students. Right? So imagine how this young boy or girl thinks about this topic. Try and understand what background they already have before presenting high lofty concepts. Right? So when it comes to Islam, to present it in a very attractive, very simple way. Number three, not focusing too much on memorizing facts and information. Right? So for example, reprimanding a child who doesn't know the name of Imam Bakr alayhi salam's mother. No, this is not the information that we have to drive across, right? Instead, we teach them concepts about Islam and then making them very relatable. Number four is that when a child, sorry, actually I should have mentioned, when it comes to care in the lesson, these are just 4 or 5 sub-points under this, right? So maybe I should have put them on the slide, but anyway. The fourth thing was that to make sure that when the child leaves the class, they are not more doubtful than they walked in. So they need to be more convinced about the religion than before coming into class. This is the aim of a teacher. This is the goal of the teacher. The last thing we want is a child leaves the class and he is totally confused about the lesson. Right? So that's another important thing. And finally, when it comes to care in how the lesson is being taught, respected brothers and sisters, this is very important, super important, is that we need to give the class a practical, relatable, spiritual message before they leave the class, such that that message becomes an inspiration for them between 1 week and the next. So even if we are teaching a dry, technical topic like the jurisprudence of khums, for instance, our scholars' recommendation is end the lesson with an inspiring spiritual message. So for example, when it comes to khums, we talk about how important it is in Islam to think about the people around us, how to think about the welfare of others, right? This way we are creating individuals who are not self-centered, who are thinking about others. So we have related a spiritual concept to a jurisprudential lesson. This is very important. So there should always be one take-home message, a spiritual take-home message that we need to give to our students. So that's in regards to how the lesson is being taught. Number three, when it comes to the etiquettes of teaching, is if we have realized that we have made a mistake in giving a ruling or answering a question, many a times we feel it might be very humiliating to tell the students, or it might be embarrassing to tell the students that I was wrong, or I made a mistake, or the answer that I gave you was totally off. As the responsibility of a teacher is we need to be very quick in correcting our mistakes. Right? This is very important. And never say that, no, the child can figure it out for themselves. Let's try and imagine the consequences of giving a wrong ruling just to protect our pride, feeling very proud to say, I don't know, we give a wrong ruling, and that poor child ends up practicing it in the wrong way. What are we creating for ourselves? Right? So being very quick in correcting our mistakes. Related to this point, number 4 is confessing that we don't know. It's amazing that when it comes to the life of Allama Tabatabai, who was, as an opinion of majority of our scholars, Allama Tabatabai was one of our most illustrious scholars, rahmatullah alayh. He was so humble that when an ordinary student would ask him a question that he didn't know the answer of, he would say, I don't know. This is Allama Tabatabai. Right? So many times we come across questions where in class, a student puts us on the spot, we asked a question, right? It's really a virtuous thing, a meritorious thing to say that I don't know the answer, I'll research about this, give me a week and I'll come back to it. Rather than presenting our own opinions. Because remember, respected brothers and sisters, when we are taking a class for that hour, hour and a half, in essence what we are the representatives of our marja, in a sense. If someone asks me a fiqh question, brother, can I pray with cat hair on my body? What are we supposed to do? Simply copy paste the fatwa of Ayatollah Sistani. Right? But then if I don't know the answer and I say, of course, cat hair is fine, of course you can pray. What sort of question is that? Right? That's something that we are presenting our opinion. And the students are not there to listen to our opinion. Right? They're obviously there to listen to what Islam has said on that ruling. So this is one of the things that we need to always make it a habit. If we don't know the answer we're not sure of, to always say that we don't know. The other thing which is very important when it comes to how effective our lessons can be, respected brothers and sisters, is to practice what we are teaching. It's an easy concept to talk about, very difficult to explain. There is a hadith that says, verily the admonition of a scholar, the khutbah of a scholar, the lecture of a scholar, the class of a teacher, and this teacher does not act upon his own knowledge, runs off people's hearts in the same way that rain runs off from rocks. It's simply going to be information based. It will make no difference to the lives of these students. This is somehow a law that Allah has created. Even when it comes to parents teaching children. If the parents don't practice what they preach, it will never be effective to the children. Right? So this is something that we need to remind ourselves of. And we remember this story where a mother comes with a young child to the Holy Prophet, complaining to the Holy Prophet that this son of mine is eating a lot of dates. Ya Rasulullah, please tell him to stop eating dates. Prophet ﷺ could make that boy sit down and give him a long lecture. Prophet ﷺ tells the mother, please come back after a few days. Mother comes back after a few days, and then Prophet ﷺ says to him, all right, stop it, take it easy. So the mother asks Rasulullah, why didn't you tell him then? You just told him to stop. Why didn't you tell him then? Prophet ﷺ says, because I was also eating dates. And even from me, that admonition would not be effective. Right? So this is something, inshallah, we can remind ourselves of, that always to try. And at the end of the day, it's almost impossible for our little capacity to practice all what we preach. Right? But as long as we are sincere in improving ourselves. The next thing, very quickly, is the 6th one, is when we come to our class, one of the etiquettes is we should be in a state of tahara. So putting it out there, I know it's being recorded, but for example, on extreme cases, don't teach a class whilst one is in janaba, for example, right? That class would be simply, absolutely ineffective, right? Ritual purity, meaning come in the state of wudu, because my spiritual state affects the state of the students. And secondly, come with good appearance, right? So for example, wearing the dress code as a teacher is very important. And we see this in our life of our scholars as well, that when they go onto the mimbar, they will spend a few minutes adjusting their abba, adjusting their turban, making sure, the top button of theirs is closed. This is the adab that is taught in the houses when it comes to teaching. So as teachers, to make sure that our dress code is we're not talking about fashionable here, but very presentable dress code, Islamic dress code. Right? Not that we've just come out from the gym hair is disheveled, and yallah, let's start the lesson today, right? So this is what Shahid Al-Thani says in Desire of the Aspirant. He says that they do not attend their classes except they're pure from ritual impurities, clean and perfumed. This is all psychological cues for the students, right? It affects the students' learning. They wear the smartest clothes. What do they intend by wearing the smartest clothes? Clothes to exalt knowledge, right? Because we are in a very pure environment, we want to exalt knowledge. And of course, these are gatherings. They are such significant gatherings. We've discussed some of our hadith, that these are gatherings that are witnessed by angels. These are not ordinary sessions that we have when we teach our students, right? These are very pure, spiritually powerful gatherings where angels are present, right? And this has been encouraged for everyone, even it is important for students. The next thing is to have a pleasant demeanor and pleasant akhlaq when we are in front of our students. The teacher must not act haughtily, arrogantly with the students, very harsh, very rude. Rather, he should be flexible and humble with them. Even Rasulullah was told, and lower your wings. وَخْفِضْ جَنَاحَكَ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ وَخْفِضْ جَنَاحَكَ مَنِ اتَّبَعَ مِنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. Lower your wings in humility when you are with the believers. Shahid Al-Thani says in his book that the teacher must perfect his manners with his students even more than he does with other people. So we need to be more kind, more gentle, more flexible when it comes to our students. This means displaying kindness to them when we meet them, being cheerful, being friendly. The kind of energy that we exude when we come to class affects the children. So if we come to class like really tired and the students pick this. These are psychological cues that we need to be aware of. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. The eighth thing is to have a personal connection with the students, right? So the question that we could ask is, I've been taking this particular class for the last year, for four terms. Brother, do you know the names of your kids, or do you call them brother? No, what are their names? Who is their father? Where do they live? What schools do they go to? What are their hobbies? Right? So this personal connection with the students is very important. I think this is generally more achievable outside the classroom. Classroom is generally a more formal setting, but when we go outside the classroom, for example, if we have extracurricular activities, we have camps, that's where we can get to know the students even more. If a student or attendee of the study group is absent more than usual, how much are we concerned about students who don't attend classes? Do I have their numbers where I can ask him, bro, what's going on? Where have you been? I haven't seen you. Or do we say, Alhamdulillah, that guy didn't turn up? Right? What's the relationship that we have with our students? It's amazing. All these things affect the learning of the student. Right? If there is no news regarding him, about the student, do we inquire about the students? And this was the practice of the Holy Prophet. Whenever he saw a person not attending the mosque for a certain number of times, he would inquire. He would, ask the companions to go and see about. Prophet ﷺ would go and visit them himself. Right? This was a bond that the teacher must have with the students. And finally, I don't know why I stopped at number 9, but finally is treating all students fairly. Right? Again, this is something that students are very sensitive to. They might not verbalize or vocalize or let us know, but they are very sensitive to. And the adab of a teacher is, he does not show preference to one student over the other. And generally, this is what happens, is the bad students, the naughty students, the students who don't get the concepts quickly, we try and sideline them. But the students pick this, right? So the way we have to approach our classes is there's absolutely no discrimination when it comes to our attention to the students, right? Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Ajil faraj. Alhamdulillah, that was 25 minutes. If we have 5 minutes for any questions or comments or... Maybe I have a question. Yeah, Said, Bismillah. Yes.
being muballigh,
Yeah, ahsan.
responsibility of a doctor, of a university lecturer, or a father or
Yes,
mother.
ahsantum.
We are, I think these are the most important things. And coming back to the point that you mentioned, that for example, if your name was deleted from the list
Yes.
and you contributed, there was another side, the opposite side.
Yes.
MohammedAbbas said that the happiness that you enjoy when others praise you and you have done a work, act of khair,
Yes.
that is the riya that is within you.
Subhanallah.
Allahu Akbar. That's a very tough situation. So when you do a act of khair,
Yes.
and people, praise you,
Yes.
and you feel happiness,
Yes.
that's the part of riya, because you are actually, part of it was done to get it, and that's why you felt happy. If you were doing it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you would have been indifferent, whether people praise it or not. So that's a very sensitive part. The other side, which is more common,
Ahsan.
that we sometimes do a lot of things
Yes.
when people actually, so that's a barometer, number one.
Ahsant.
Second thing, when it comes to the priority, Alhamdulillah, Quran says in Bani Israel, and that's what I'm saying, because there are 9 points.
Yes.
How we would, what's the first thing?
Yes.
So Quran says that always keep the hikmah in Surah Bani Israel, and it's 125 verse.
Ahsant.
ادع إلى سبيل ربك بالحكمة والموعظة الحسنة وجادلهم بالتي هي أحسن.
Ahsan.
Which means, like, if you take these things, so if you are calling people towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, obviously teaching is calling people
Of
towards
course.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala,
Yes.
whether it's ibadah or some muamalat.
Yes.
So the first thing is the hikmah. Always look at the hikmah first.
Ahsant.
It should be it should be framed with the hikmah. Second thing, mu'ayza hasana, so it's like a polite word. And then jadil billati hiya ahsan. So if there is a need to make an argument in a way which is the best way. It doesn't hurt it. So it means that there is a priority. Always look at your students, their profile and everything that you mentioned, so
Yes.
many things.
Yes.
And then, that should be the first thing in your mind. Second thing, when you are actually delivering, then be very polite.
Ahsan.
And while you will be delivering this, definitely there might be some difference of opinion.
Yes.
If there are difference of opinion, then there would be need to lodge an argument. If there's an argument, then always lodge it in a way that's the best way, it doesn't hurt others.
Ahsantum. MashaAllah. Beautiful.
Alhamdulillah, you have beautiful. And the last part of it is when someone does a very bad thing while you are teaching. Very
Yes.
good. That's
Yes.
another extreme of that.
Yes.
So idfa billati hiya
Yeah,
ahsan.
ahsan. Ahsan.
So if you want to, counter a bad thing that has come from the student, you can't just do it with a bad or wrong attitude. You need to be again better.
Beautiful.
You need to come with the khair. A bad thing cannot be removed with the bad attitude.
Ahsantum.
Jazakumullah khair. It's such an important topic.
Thank you, sir.
And after a long time, something that was needed here. Because this is the problem most of us, while we assert or while we come up with an argument, we don't know how to. It's all come under it all comes under the teaching.
Yes.
The way it is meant. Jazakumullah khair.
Ahsantum, Sayyid. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Ahsantum. Inshallah. Alhamdulillah.
Very unique topic. Very positive.
Alhamdulillah. Ahsantum, Sayyid, you mentioned a nice point about the hikmah. I think it's, actually, I forgot to mention this, but many a times I think the lesson should begin with explaining to the class why a particular topic is being discussed.
That's part of the hikmah.
Ahsantum, that's a very important. So why are we learning about this topic? I think that's key. If the why is not there, then the rest will not follow. Inshallah, if there's no questions. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Inna Allah wa malaikatahu yusalluna ala an-nabi. Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu sallu alayhi wa sallimu taslima. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajah.